Good evening all, and welcome to the Kontakt Script Programmer. We're going to be looking at 3.3 and 3.4 of the reference manual today. 3.3 being this percentage sign, which we've bumped into before but haven't actually really properly delved into. This is about an array. So an array is a big group of numbers in one way to think of it. The maximum size of an array is 1 million. And we declare an array just like we would expect, or just like we've done in the past, where we have a percentage sign, the array name, and then square brackets and the number of elements in an array. So the number of elements must be defined with a constant value, so it cannot change, and a standard variable cannot be used, so you can't put in a variable that you've declared earlier that you might be able to use to change arrays with different times. It doesn't quite work that way. You can put an array, you can initialize an array with one value. You can change values in an array, you just can't change the size of the array with the number of elements in the array. So we can declare it in a few different ways. If we were to use this first system is for developing presets. So for instance, using each of these values to read a specific knob position or a slider position. Okay, so we have them, 8 o'clocks and 0 o'clock or something like that, or a particular distortion value or something like that, so that when the user clicks through their presets or their snapshots, we call for each preset the value required. Now you'll notice normally when we look at declaring an array, we have a percentage sign, it's called presets, and then we have square brackets and we have one number, which is this 10. So it means we've got 10 elements, and then we have this multiplied by 8. So we have 10 elements with 8 separate values. So this is element 1, this is element 2, this is element 3, and so forth and so on. The reason we do it this way is so that we can have big groups. It's kind of like a big box, like an Excel spreadsheet almost, or like wavetable synthesis, if you're aware of that, maybe that kind of thing, which is great if we've already decided on the preset values. But if values needed to change, we don't need to go to the hard work of importing all this. We could do something as simple as, on initialization, declare presets with square brackets 10 times 8 and then equaling to 4. So all of them become the value 4. If we were going to change them, this would be a fine way to do it. If we did need particular preset values, we would use this way to use arrays, and we can call arrays, we can get values from arrays by looking at the percentage sign presets and then the bracket and what number we're going to use. So the next step is looking at 3.4, which is this squiggly line, also known as the tilde key, or tilde, the real variable. We talked about these a little bit earlier in, I think it was 3.2, no, maybe it was 3.1. 3.2, no, it was 3.2. So the difference between an integer and a real variable, an integer being one number with no decimal place, and a real number always having a decimal place. We're storing a single real value inside this tilde and then the variable. Even if the number is a whole number, we should be using, for instance, 2.0 instead of 2. Okay, so easy enough to create. We create exactly the same way as we did with the test earlier. We can initialize, declare test with this line instead of the dollar sign, and then tilde test equaling to 0.5. Or we can do it in one line, declare test, declare tilde test, 0.5. Okay, and again it's reminding us to look at that. Now the handy way that this runs straight into 3.5, which is the real array, so it's exactly the same array before. However, we can't use a few of the array commands that we will get into a little bit later. However, we'll need to use real numbers for every element in the presets. So this is probably something I find more useful when using presets, depending on what type of values you're looking for. So if everything is in decimal places, then you've got to use this question mark in front of your arrays. So it's not the tilde key before a real array, it's a question mark before a real array. And then a percentage sign next to the integer array if you wanted to look at it that way. Okay, well, we'll finish it for there right now, and I will see you guys in 3.6 where we'll talk about some string variables. Till then.